United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This conference will now be recorded.
All right, thank you. We do have a quorum. We do need to adopt an agenda. Anybody have anything we need to add this afternoon? Anything? What's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. Public comment. Public comment. I don't know who y'all count as public. I guess Gracie, you're closest. Anybody watching us, Federico? Yeah, it sounds about right. Consent agenda minutes from 7:02 and 7:08. Anybody have any comments, questions, thoughts, motion?
Move to approve as presented, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. No special appearances, no public hearings. Mr. Gordon, tell us about the finalized capital improvement plan.
Yes, sir. What you're looking at here is a spreadsheet. When it comes up, is a product of Ms. Warren's work here. You're looking at FY '26 and FY '27 is what we're looking to finance with this. Everything to the left of that are the totality of what we've been looking at for CIP for quite some time. Several different things in here. The big one that comes to mind in the school side, which is on the top half of this, is the makeup air units at Waverly Yow. That money is actually already committed to 1.75. If you go down below that, the other one there are the windows for the gymnasium. If we would decide to do the entirety of that building, it goes to $230K. Going down to the bottom side, there's 150 in there for a roof replacement for the EMS station. We found some detrimental things on that side of things. And I think everything else, the other one is the scales at the transfer station. We found that to be severely deteriorated by rust. We did get a quote on that, but I think it would be, the guy said it was end of life. We could be looking short period of time, or we could get a year or so out of it, but it's in bad shape.
Ms. Warren?
Thank you. I did put together an alternative option that I would like the board to consider this evening. It's not on the screen. We did put printouts for the board, or it is on the screen too. Okay. So what I did on this, after we had a great meeting 2 weeks ago with Atlantic and Freedom Financial, that's the ambulance company and the finance company dealing with the lease purchase, to get some information on what the lease purchase entails. I did want to quickly go over on the right-hand side of this screen are the notes from that conversation with Atlantic and Freedom. And the reason that is because, $500,000 basically of this is, in this CIP list, is related to ambulance purchase, lease, or purchase agreement. So just for the board's awareness, we did meet with them. Basically, the long and the short of it is, this is just another way to finance the ambulance. It is what it is. It's a municipal lease purchase agreement, and we would own the ambulance at the end of the lease. These agreements, they do have a non-appropriation clause, and they're not considered debt. If, for example, in 3 years, we couldn't appropriate the funds for some reason during the budget process for the next year's lease amount, we aren't stuck with that ambulance. They would basically pick it up and sell it for whatever remaining principal balance is owed. And if they couldn't get the remaining principal balance, we would owe that amount. If they got more than the principal balance, that difference would come back to the county. And we can do a 90-day rate lock when we sign the financing quote. There is a prepayment penalty on the remaining principal balance only. If you prepay, it's only up to a max of 3% on these agreements, but there is that prepayment penalty on principal balance. And the good news is we could make early or extra payments, which will buy down the loan and lessen our interest expense. So these are a little bit different than your traditional car lease or anything like that. It is what's called a municipal lease purchase agreement to own. So I wanted to put that in here for the board's consideration. It is, I also put in here the 3 different ambulances. I don't think we've signed for number 3 yet, but the first 2 are on order. Estimated date of possession, taking possession, the first one is October of 2026. That is when we would need the funds to be available, whether it's through the debt financing option or the lease purchase option, would be October 2026 for the first one. Unit number 2 is July of 2027, and then assuming we sign for Unit 3 soon, it would be a year later. So we're looking at October 2026 for the first one to take occupancy. So the process with these basically is this. You sign an initial quote for an ambulance. I think the initial on the first one was like $480,000. But then you wait, and then you receive a change order 6 months prior to taking possession of the ambulance, and that provides you with an updated quote, what today's price is. So I think it's gone up to 500 or a little over that with the one company.
505?
505.
505.
So, and then what they do is they sit down with you with that change order, you sign off on that new price, and then it takes 2 to 3 months to build it, and then you take possession. So usually you don't get that final price until 6 months before delivery. So I did want to mention that we can finalize that lease purchase agreement if we decide to go that route at any point up to taking possession. So we don't have to make a decision right away. We do want to wait, or we do want to make sure that we do it when rates are favorable, obviously. Right now, I think they said rates are around 5%. So some municipalities or localities will lock in quicker. Some will wait until almost date of possession if they think rates are going to go down. So really, the option of the board, again, is do you debt finance this in the $4 million, or you do this what's called municipal lease purchase agreement? Our recommendation is that you keep the ambulance listed on the CIP list for debt financing as a placeholder. Make a decision down the road when you look at rates to see what's more favorable. We also are recommending that you put some sort of a contingency line item on the CIP list. 10% is the recommendation. And that's just basically for any unforeseen costs or increases in some of these upcoming capital projects. Future costs might go up, might be unforeseen situations with a project. We didn't do the 10% on the ambulance or the call handling unit because we know what those prices pretty close are. But if you do decide to do this model, the contingency for the schools would be roughly $250,000. The contingency for the county is roughly $40,000 across all of those. And it would, in leaving the ambulance on here as a placeholder, would bring your debt finance total to $3.98 million, right at the $4 million. After talking to Davenport, I do believe that if you decide to do the full $4 million, have that money in SNAP, earning a good amount of interest, you decide down the road you don't want to go the route with the ambulance, or you don't use that contingency, you can pay back down the loan down the road. If you decide not to do any changes to tax rates, then we can pay it down sooner. So that's my recommendation, after talking with Davenport as well as learning more about the municipal lease purchase agreement.
All right, who has generalized questions on Ms. Warren or Brian?
So the municipal lease purchase
Yes.
agreement, if you go that route, that goes on the books as an asset or operating expense?
It's operating because it's not considered debt, is what they're saying.
Oh,
But
yeah,
your
that's true.
recommendations, leave 500 in, come up with it after the fact as we kind of analyze.
Yeah, because I'm thinking, we don't know what rates are going to be then. If we decide that the rates are too high with this lease purchase municipal agreement, and we want to, use the debt financing route, we could also put down a big down payment 250,000 debt finance and the rest through agreement and have a schedule based on that. There's all kinds of ways to do this. And the other thing about these agreements is they can have it so that your first annual payment isn't due until 1 year after you take possession. I mean, there's all kinds of ways they arrange these, which basically makes it a longer term, but
You're gonna analyze these and come back to us with a recommended direction on this that's most cost positive for Madison County?
I will definitely do that. So my thought was we would do that as we get closer down the road. Or we could do it sooner if you feel like we want to do it sooner. But October 2026 is when the first one, so we've got time on it.
Told Brian, I told Jonathan last week that I think 90% of the information on here is too much. The two columns I think are worth looking at are final 26 and final 27, because that's really what we're talking about. We've been through all of these items at the CIP, and then now at this level, I think we've been through this once at least. The one that has come up a couple times, and I should walk down, but is the 30K for the gym windows at the school. If we end up shifting and we have some funds available down the road or towards the end of this, I think we should be considering potentially doing all the windows, but that's only if we have the funds available, and we're in a good cash position. The other one that's on here that's kind of a newer item is the roof at the EMS station. Got up there with Brian yesterday. The 150 was based on the 88. That is an actual quote coming from the CID building, the old ABC building at the end of town. Looking at it, it looks like we're talking about 60% of the roofed area is what needs to be fixed up there. So that price at 150 potentially could come down. The thing we all must remember is there is a puff roof up there that was done recently. Is the best. I think that's the best we can come up with. It is actually holding up, which is ironic because we all know how fantastic puff roofing is. The membrane roof is bubbling. We do need to address, and then there's metal roof that I'm sure was just bought at a very cost-effective way for them at the time. That certainly needs to be replaced, and that's down at those lower bays, the medical room. It just needs to be fixed. But that's a new item. Everything else on here is, we've been through it like multiple times. There are things that I think that we are leaving off, but it's just, we have to leave it off on the side of being able to afford and prioritizing needs. The only other one that's kind of floating around out there that may come back up is potentially having to seal some of these parking lots, but I don't think we've gotten deep enough into that we need to talk about it at this point. What other questions, comments? You have comments down here?
No. So sealing could extend the life of some of this stuff, but
Jonathan talked to Stacy about it, and I wasn't able to make that meeting, but he's saying that some of the parking lots are in really, really bad shape, and sealing will buy some time on water getting in there, expanding joints and expanding cracks and things of that nature. I did ride through there the other day just looking at that specifically. There are some areas getting some really bad spots. To the point, some spots I'm not sure sealing's going to do a whole lot of good with. But
That's right. Judd,
What about the scale?
100K.
Yeah, so is that something that's to be done right away? Why is it so bad?
we had Apple Valley come out and take a look at it because a crack formed in the concrete, and he can't get up any further to look at it because it's pretty much a sealed unit. But the rust on the outside, if he said if you got rust there, you probably got that and then some on the inside.
So is water just sitting in there?
Water's just sitting in there. That's the reason we kind of left the 100K in there. The quote came back right at 80,000. But my thinking is we need to put some French drain in there to drain that water out of there to keep this from happening again.
You would think that certified, and these are legal for trade scales that are certified by the state of Virginia, you would think that scales would be set up to drain. I run into scales on a very regular basis that have standing water in the bottom of them. It is just overlooked every time, and it's foolish, but it does look like we need to replace the damn things, unfortunately.
This says 27, is that
what,
Can we
20?
hold up to 27?
Yeah, make it work until we can't.
Okay.
Yeah. Anybody else have anything on this? I think leaving the $500,000 in there is fine. We know that there's other needs that we could shift around. Hopefully nothing slaps us in the face, which I'm sure it will. But we'll overcome that just like everything else. Anybody else have any questions or comments on this CID list? I do think we should have a motion to move forward with this proposed CIP list for FY '26 and FY '27.
So moved.
Motion's made and seconded. Further discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Please.
just one thing I
Yeah,
wanted to
sure.
ask. This is certainly is something that I think people need to be more aware of. Of course, they don't, but we need to make them more aware of. Is this something that we could be part of the presentation at the town hall?
We should, certainly,
I just want to
certainly,
make sure that I can
certainly.
include that.
Oh, absolutely. I think all of it needs to be.
Shrink it down and just show these 2 columns and stuff, or?
I think,
Yeah.
No, I want to see what,
Or you wanna-
people see what we can't do. that
Oh,
we should be
okay,
doing.
yeah.
I think they understand the gravity of the situation.
That's correct. Motion's made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. I do,
Thanks,
I've
you
got,
guys.
yeah, thank you. I do have to throw in there, there is a bunch of other stuff that we have pulled off of these lists that are just, that do need to be addressed. It's just, they are 3 or 4 steps below the need basis, and that's just what it is. Please.
Do we know how much money the scales bring in, like, to the county?
Everything that goes across there that's not bag trash is commercial, it's household, non-bag trash, all of that equates to dollars coming into that scale house.
And that's how we're billed from Updike.
Right.
for our
Correct.
tonnage.
So that number would be found in the budget under revenue for the transfer station, right?
Correct.
Correct.
And I don't have my budget in front of me, but I want to say it's between 350 and 500,000 a year in revenues for that.
So if that goes down, I mean, we
Yeah.
can lose some.
If that goes down, what you end up having to do is send commercial to other counties, is
Right.
basically what's gonna happen, because we're not gonna be able to weigh it.
No, there's other options, because you can bring in portable scales.
Portable scales and things of that
portable
nature,
trash
right.
Scales, which are certainly an option.
Okay.
And there's some other places out there. Yeah. That's not the end of the world. Anybody else got anything on capital improvement?
Chairman, I want to
Please.
make a comment with that. This is somewhat personal, but I think it reflects the needs that we have that need to be met. And that's the high school track replacement. I ran on that track in high school. And, we can't host meets now. It's, quite frankly, it's an embarrassment to the town. And I know that we're doing the best that we can, but that hits home a lot of these needs that haven't been met simply because we need to expand our revenue streams. And this is just a snapshot, this is just one little peak or one little, example of that. And we've got all this other stuff that, the more you defer it, it's just gonna snowball. And, but I appreciate the work that you, the vice chairman, did on this, and Ms. Warren, and the administrators, because this is excruciating work to get this down to where it's manageable.
I do,
Thank you.
just since you brought it up, I do want to point out, the track has been redone since you were running
Oh,
on
I
it
know, it
as a
was
youth.
simple.
I'm just saying,
You were barefoot.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's just loincloth. It was a lot more interesting.
Good.
We used the basketball uniforms for soccer. My senior year.
Good. These are the stories that must come out. All right, new business. Hoover Ridge Maintenance Building, RFP. Ron?
Yes, sir. This went on EVA last week. We're planning a bid opening on August the 12th at 2 p.m. here. Have had a couple questions come in through WW, but nothing major at this point. It's a waiting game at this point to see what comes back.
Anybody? OMD agreement. Noah, please.
right, so good afternoon, evening. Just a quick recap. On May 25th, I received a resignation from Dr. Matthew Rames. He was wonderful, great, didn't charge a cent. Reached out to my contacts. Dr. Brendan Burns is our selection. In front of you is the agreement that was put together by UPG. The gist is it's roughly $16,000. That equates to 92 annual hours and 7.6 hours per month. That's in line with what we've worked with Dr. Rames with. So he agreed to the fourth Monday of every month, comes in, meets with the team, goes over clinical review, et cetera. I'm fine with that number. I do think potentially next budget year we may have to increase that slightly, but for the interim, I think that'll work well. He's currently the medical director for UVA Medic 5, and I learned today that he's in negotiation with Culpeper County to be their medical director, which would be wonderful. That'll keep us in line with Culpeper Hospital and then our Quotes County. So I'm happy to answer any questions. I did, I think Supervisor Yao, you had some questions. Were those answered today or?
Yeah, Brian took care of those.
Okay, yeah, so, I've read through this, I don't have any concerns with it.
And
And
I'm sorry, go ahead.
please.
So when did you put the revised, or the edited copy out? I mean,
We got-
everybody up here's got.
Yeah, we
the
got
new-
it, we got it late this afternoon. We got it up, and most of it in here was grammatical. The president was changed to chief. Desire was at the top of recital
Right.
was the other one, and then the rest were questions. The one question that Supervisor Yao brought up was he reserved the right to pretty much resign if administration changed. The reason for that is if he didn't get along well with the new administration or new chief when they came in.
Yeah, it was just a few things like that, Noah, that I was,
Yeah, I thought they were
Okay.
good questions, and if for some reason he were to leave,
yeah.
the interim plan is we always default to the regional EMS council medical director. If that fails, then we go to the state medical director. So there's a backup upon backup for that. But we're excited. He came up and he's already met several of our team members and he's engaged. And do I miss Dr. Rames and the $0 per year and his generosity? Absolutely. But that's where we're at.
Any other questions, thoughts? What would y'all like to do with this OMD agreement?
Let's see here. So are we authorizing Noah to sign this thing, or who?
You could do no or administration, either or. They did, on the contract itself, it doesn't specify. But I always think contracts are probably better to be signed by a county administrator.
Yeah, I agree with that. Let's do that.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I move that we authorize the county administrator to sign the operational medical director agreement with, what's his name? Where is it?
Dr. Brandon.
Yeah, Dr. Brandon Burns.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Anybody have anything we need to discuss? All right, Pratt's roundabout. Brian?
Yeah, pull it up real quick. Yep, that's, they're gonna have a VDOT is gonna have a public hearing on the Pratt's roundabout. Looks like it's gonna be Tuesday, August the 19th, from 4:30 to 6:30 at Rembeck Barn. They don't have a full advertisement out for that public hearing yet. What they do have is a pretty rudimentary sketch of what they're planning to do. That's in the packet. I believe it's gonna be a 4-fork, single-lane roundabout is what they're proposing.
Say that again.
So-
They're proposing a what?
A four-fork, four-road.
Fork, all right. Fork is better than what I
Yeah,
thought
yeah,
you said.
four-road, single-lane roundabout.
That's better. I was thinking we were doing a bunch of small ones. All right. got questions on that?
Now, other than,
No.
huh?
Yeah, zero.
This was put in the Route 29 corridor study, remember, way back,
Oh, yeah, it's
right?
been 11 years.
10, 11 years ago. And the idea then was, as an example, coming southbound on 29, making a left. Okay, you're coming southbound on 29, making a left at the Exxon station to get on 230. That is dangerous. So what I think the corridor study said, that once we got this roundabout, we would funnel everybody over to Gibbs Road and basically shut down. You could come from Orange, going towards 29, you could do a right turn, but no more left turns anymore, okay? You have to go through the roundabout, go up Gibbs Road, go to the light, okay? You cannot go towards 29 from Orange and pop over to the, to the median and take a left and go south. We would cut that out. And same thing coming in from the north, coming south, you'd have to go past Route 230, go down to the light at Gibbs Road and go in and hit 230 that way. So I'm just wondering, would this opportunity at Renback be the time to look at stuff like that?
To see if they have any plans beyond the
Yeah.
circle itself for that traffic flow.
Right.
I've not heard anything on that.
I haven't
but-
either.
But I think
Remember-
certainly coming to that.
remember we were- That was long time ago.
And there was some, what's the post that's up that talks about this? It talks about Gibbs a little bit.
I've seen several posts online that talked about Gibbs Road basically becoming 230 and bringing 230 down that straightaway, bringing that straight to the stoplight. That would negate a traffic circle where they're trying to put it. You would put the traffic circle at Gibbs Road and 231, excuse me. If they were going that route, that's just some things I've seen out and about.
Yeah, I remember talking about all that, but it's kind of, who the hell knows? It's been
Yeah, I
so
don't know
long.
whether we could incorporate any of those safety measures at the same time, but I'd like to go to this meeting perhaps and just,
With it being a VDOT meeting, and we cannot all go, I'd assume, and discuss business, even individually. Not Bill.
yeah. I can
Yeah, go and see
call
what they say.
Sean
Go see what they
Nelson.
say, yeah. Something must take place there at Pratt, though, because it's just, it's not as bad as 15 by any means, but it is a terrible intersection with a bunch of very dramatic crashes. Seeing some type of improvement, but this has been on the books for so long, and it's just incredible. I think they're gonna have trouble shifting it to Gibbs with all these big power poles they put up on the opposing corner from where the post office is. And all.
yeah.
That is part of it. Anybody else got anything on this? All right, public comment? Do we pick up anybody, Federico? Yeah,
McCain.
Palmer. Yeah. All right, we don't have closed session. What would y'all like to do?
Move to adjourn, Chairman.
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion?
Whoops.
Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank y'all.
Thank you.